Hey, my name is Shannon Kapp, and I am currently talking from Hungary. I'm the founder of an organization called If You Don't Quit, You Win. We primarily work with junior high, high school, and college age students in America. We're over here working with Ukrainian refugee kids right now. That organization has a cause and a plan, and we're excited about the things that are happening there. But I want to start this video series talking to my Jesus friends around the topic of mental health. There are some great churches, some great friends who are talking about it, but I want to just create a safe place for this conversation to happen. I want to talk about all things connected to faith, Christianity, the church, and mental health. And so, how did I get here? How did I get to the space where I'm talking about mental health? You see, without going too far in my story, I've been in inpatient care. I'm the survivor of suicide. I remember the moment I thought that hope might be close. I got out of the psychiatric hospital because I had a plan to take my life. But when I got out of the hospital, it wasn't like I got fixed in the hospital and then everything outside the hospital was great waiting for me. I actually got out of the hospital and had to deal with the fact that my 24-year marriage was still ending. And because of that process, I kept ebbing and flowing in and out of depression and anxiety. I was in a constant state of being triggered. My mental health condition is complex PTSD, and so I'm in this constant state of hypervigilance and the constant state of being triggered. And I lost my job because I was a pastor, and my wife left me. And that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about it sometime. But I couldn't be a divorced pastor, I guess. Not only did I lost my job, worse than that, I lost my lifelong partner. I grew up with her. I married her when I was just a kid. She was a kid. We had kids together, and we spent more than half of our life together. I lost my lifelong partner. My kids were now grown and they're doing their own thing, so I couldn't be distracted by my kids anymore because they're dealing with their own life issues, and I'm trying to support them the best way I had. I'm unemployed. I can't really talk to anybody because if I wanted an ounce of an opportunity to ever do ministry again, which is all I'd ever done, I was a pastor for 29 years since I was 16 years old. I had to keep my mouth shut or those opportunities would disappear. And someone may say, well, that's not true, but I'm just telling you from being a professional pastor, it was super true. So this is my choice, I chose to medicate instead of finding a solution. And if you've never had a mental health condition, maybe you don't know how easy that path is, to medicate instead of finding a solution. And I know I didn't take drugs. Maybe that would have been easier and better, but it wasn't. I decided to drink. I drank a lot. I was drinking every day, alcohol. I slept a lot. Some days I just didn't get out of bed. Multiple days, some weekends I just didn't get out of bed. I figured if my feet didn't hit the floor, I didn't have to deal with reality. And then the other thing I did is I chose to embrace the attention of other women. Like, women started showing me attention, and it made me, for a moment, forget about the pain that I was feeling. Through all that, about 6 months after I had to resign from my church, I landed a job. I just by a random chance landed a job in a church. It was a full-time job for less than part-time pay. I mean, I was broke as a joke, renting a room from a friend's sister. So here I am. I can't pay my bills. I'm alone. I can't talk to anybody. This is how I feel. I'm renting a room. I'm a grown man. I'm a grandfather, for crying out loud, and I'm renting a room? How did I end up here? After 6 months, all this came to a head when one of the women who was showing me attention decided to out me. It was fine. I was trying to dig my way out of the chaos I had created, but decided to out me and tell the church and other pastors that I had been talking to multiple women and pastoring the church. And people, I'm sure, will have a lot of opinions about that. I got a lot of opinions about that. Man, I'm ashamed that I did that. Not proud of that. I'm not a victim there. That was my choice. I have reasons, not excuses. I felt trapped. Felt like I was trapped in my pain. And The only thing I had hung on to up to that point in my life I felt like was my good name, and even in that moment, that was gone. I lost my good name. So 3 days later, I packed everything I could in my car and I drove to the other side of the country. Why? I don't know. Fight or flight, probably extreme flight, but I drove to the other side of the country. My friends were impressed because of how quickly I drove it. They thought I was trying to prove something. I was just trying to outdrive my pain. And I ended up on the other side of the country, homeless, jobless, reputation ruined, and broken. And then one day my phone rang. Somebody from my past who was dealing with some severe depression called me looking for hope. I'll be honest with you, when I picked up the phone, I thought, God, I have nothing to offer this person. I mean, I had nothing to say. But I had this clear sense to just tell the truth. So I said, hey, I gotta be honest with you. Last year I was in a psychiatric hospital because of a plan to take my life, and continue to struggle ever since. And in that moment, he broke down and began to cry. And he began to share with me that he was fighting a plan to take his life because the mask of money and success just wasn't working anymore. And I heard God say to me in that moment, see, you get it now? You're not the only one. There's a lot of work to be done here. There's a lot of hope to spread. There's a lot of people I love that are dying emotionally and physically in silence. And this is the moment I begin to sense hope in my own life. Friend, if that's your story, everyone thinks you're doing great, but you know you're just hanging on by a thread. I want you to know that the safest place for you to be is when you finally find the courage to take off your mask and be seen. Honestly, authentically be seen. It's scary. It's terrifying, honestly. It's vulnerable, but you discover your authentic self and you discover authentic relationships, and you begin the path towards hope and healing in your life. Some people may drop off along the way. I mean, I had friends call me and say, hey, you better get that mental health stuff off your feet, or nobody will ever be your friend again, or nobody will ever give you an opportunity to church again. And I took that risk, to be honest. Some people may drop off along the way and distance themselves from you, from your life, and that's okay. Because what you'll have gained in the process is a belief in yourself and in the truth of who you really are. See, until you find out who you really are, where you're really at, you can't really go or grow or move forward. And I promise you, you wouldn't trade that for anything. So I said to you, my friends, come join us. Come join the companionship of the brokenness. It's pretty good in here. Love you. Make it a great day.